some people who were sitting there, they started looking backward. You know why? You know why? Reaction. No, it's not planned, it's a reaction. We all have a habit of reacting. क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में उसको? प्रतिक्रिया, right? It's normal. जैसे ही वो बैंड वाले आए, कुछ लोग तो और भी भयंकर होते हैं, गेट खोल के वहां जाकर खड़े हो जाते हैं और देख रहे हो तो बढ़िया नाच रहे हैं. पहले थे ऐसे स्टूडेंट्स, तो हम लोग बोले तुम लोग क्या देख रहे हैं? बोले सर बैंड. अच्छा. So there are level of people who respond, who react to things variously. And also some of you, maybe wanted to have a look at that, but you could not because chapel is on. In life, we all do this. We react. We react to things, we react to situations, we react to incidents, we react to people. And you saw some of the very funny reactions on Thursday and Friday when Priya ma'am and Leslie sir, they were taking, and Ordo ma'am, they were calling students to share their experiences, and especially particular Leslie sir were putting some of the very dicey questions. You could see how people were reacting. Very few responded. I should say 3 or 4 people responded. Most of you actually reacted. Right? आप में से अधिकतर लोगों ने क्या किया? प्रतिक्रिया दिखाया. प्रत्युत्तर बहुत कम लोगों ने दिया, 3 या 4. अधिकतर लोगों ने प्रतिक्रिया दिखाया. तो आज जिस विषय पर मैं संदेश लेकर के आना चाहता हूं, the topic that I want to share today is like learning to respond, not to react. Learning to respond and not to react. These 2 words are quite similar, and some of you may be wondering, sir, what does this mean? Reaction, response is quite similar. But if I were to give some explanation about reaction, reaction is something that is spontaneous, that is natural, that comes from you without your permission sometimes. Like for instance, some years ago I killed a snake, बहुत बड़ा सांप था. After killing that snake, I just, my mom was working in kitchen, and then she was making this chapati and flour and dough, all the things were there. And then I came from back door, not here, in our home at New Raipur. I took that snake, I killed it, okay? सांप मरा हुआ है, ठीक है? I took that snake and went behind and showed my mom. And you know what was her reaction? Not response. Her reaction? What? She not only ran 3 times around the house, but she threw the flour in her hand out. Flour went like, powder you throw somewhere, and then dough was on the floor, and she made a roundabout of that house 3 times. And started shouting at me over a dead snake. And that is quite a common response for most of the women to say that. But definitely, those who have habit of playing with that and at times eating with that will not have that response. But quite commonly, we have that reaction from most of us. So, in the Word of God, when you see, there are a lot of people who have responded to a situation, and there are a lot of people who have reacted to situations. What is reaction? As I told you, ये जन्मजात आपकी प्रतिक्रिया होती है जो आपके बिना सोचे समझे आपके अंदर से निकल जाती है, राइट? जैसे कुछ दिन पहले हॉस्टल में भी हुआ, एक भाई ने दूसरे भाई को ऊंची आवाज से कुछ बोल दिया, दूसरे भाई ने उसका टेटुआ पकड़ लिया. हाँ. And then after we said, what happened? Oh no sir, I didn't mean to do that, but I ended up doing it. Right? You regret. when you react, you regret. But when you respond, you realize and rejoice over your action. And then when you look at the crisis of our life, every situation at times is a crisis. I'm going very slow so that I want all of us to understand what actually I mean. I want to communicate this morning. In all of our life, we have certain situations, certain questions, certain issues, and those issues we look at sometimes as crisis. Crisis is a situation where you are perplexed and puzzled to respond. Therefore, you react. For instance, let's talk about this context. When Wesley sir was putting some dicey question, you could look some of the faces of the student, the reaction. And in that reaction, someone gave some of the comment also. And all the faculty sitting there were laughing. You know, we were not laughing because you gave a good response. We were laughing because you reacted. And all the faculty sitting there were laughing like anything. Especially some of the responses were so funny and some were very outrageous. One student said, I remember, oh, you want me to prove that to you? Oh man, what kind of response is that to a teacher? I just wonder, man. ऐसे कैसे प्रतिक्रिया आप एक शिक्षक के सामने दिखा सकते हैं? Your face tells it all. You sometimes think, no sir, मेरे दिल में ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. No, we don't care about your heart. We care about your face. आपके चेहरे में लिखा हुआ आ जाता है कि आपके दिमाग और दिल में क्या चल रहा है. So reaction does not require maturity. एक छोटा बच्चा आदि भी जब अजनबी को देखता है ना, एकदम उसका आंख लाल, भाव लाल, सब लाल करके एकदम रिएक्ट करने लगता है. You don't need to teach someone to react. Reaction, again I said, is natural, is common, is from birth, and no one needs to learn that. But in order to learn to respond, you need to be mature. आपको परिपक्व होना पड़ेगा यदि प्रत्युत्तर देना सीखना है. And as I was looking to the Word of God, I found a very beautiful passage. And in the year 2020, I had spoken from the same passage. It is an incident that happened in the life of David. And I was listening to my old messages also at times. And that day, Salim led. And my message topic was from tragedy to triumph. But from the same passage today, I want to talk about learning to respond and not to react. So that we all will be together becoming more mature, and rather than reacting alone, we will learn to respond to the crisis of our life. Now looking at crisis, संकट बोलते हैं अपन, संकट या परेशानी या मुसीबत या ऐसी परिस्थिति जो आपको मुश्किल लगती है उसको क्राइसिस बोलते हैं. So all of you have crisis in your life. To say that when you came to this college, leaving your family might be a crisis for some of you. Now once you have come here, the whole system of this college may be a crisis for you. Sometimes this language could be a crisis to you. Sometimes obeying your senior might be a crisis to you. Sometimes assignments and classes. By now some of you may have already got your assignments also, because first class was over for most of you. And I know our teachers are very quick in that. So that can seem to you as a crisis, as a problem, as a struggle, as a challenge. But one very beautiful truth I want to keep before you. In Chinese alphabets, I think if I can show you, I don't know how many of you can see. I wanted to make a whole PowerPoint for this message, but abruptly the chance came to me because Pastor Jayanta had to rush to Bhopal for an emergency. So I happened to get it. I could not prepare the PowerPoint. I wanted to show everything to make it more clear to you. See, in Chinese language, at least front 4 row can see, the word crisis, has 2 symbols. Chinese language is all about symbols. It does not have alphabets as we have in Hindi or English. It's all about symbols. So for crisis, they have 2 symbols. There are 2 symbols for crisis. चुनौती के लिए, संघर्ष के लिए, परेशानी के लिए, संकट के लिए चीनी भाषा में दो सिंबल्स हैं, प्रतीक है। एंड यू नो व्हाट दिस टू सिंबल्स मीन? इन दोनों को जब मिलाओगे तब क्राइसिस बनता है। बट व्हाट दे मीन सेपरेटली, डू यू नो? दे मीन डेंजर एंड अपॉर्चुनिटी। Did you get me? Risk or danger plus opportunity. When you mix these two things together, you get what? You get what? Crisis. Repeat after me. What do you get? Crisis. So whenever you see crisis next time, remember this Chinese alphabet or symbol. It simply means you definitely have danger and risk, but you also have what? Hello? What do you have? Opportunity. Sometimes we in our life, we have a tendency to see everything as a trouble, as a problem, as a pain, as a struggle, and then we get panic and we react. And we only see the danger, we lose the opportunity. Did you get me what I mean? We only get the danger, we only get the risk, and we lose the opportunity. But in the Bible, I want to take you to a person who was very close to the heart of God, a person who was after God's own heart, a person who became the king at very tender age and also achieved massive success in his professional and his spiritual life. And that man is none other than the man called David. दाऊद की जिंदगी को आप देखेंगे मेरे प्रियो, परमेश्वर का सबसे चहेता, जो परमेश्वर के मन के मुताबिक था, परमेश्वर के दिल के मुताबिक था। बहुत ही कम उम्र में उसने बहुत बड़ी सफलता अपने जीवन में हासिल कर ली। वो ना केवल राजा बना, परंतु अपने जीवन में एक महानतम मंजिल को उसने हासिल किया और इजराइल को एक अलग ही स्थान पर उसने पहुंचा दिया। आइए हम सब मिलकर खोलें 1 Samuel chapter 30 verse 1 to 31. And I know we don't have time to read this large portion, but I request you all, when you go back today to your dormitories, when you have your personal meditation, please read this chapter. आप सभी से आग्रह है, जब आप अपने अपने शयन कक्ष में जाएं, तो आज अपने मनन के समय ये पहला शमूएल उसके 30वें अध्याय को पढ़ें। Now what is happening there? Could someone help me to read only verse 1, and I will narrate the story as brief as I can.
When David and his men came to Ziklag on the third day, the Amalekites had made a raid against the Negev and against Ziklag. They had overcome Ziklag and burnt it with fire.
It reads in this way, now it happened. Something happens, okay? Now it happened when David and his men came to Ziklag on the third day that the Amalekites had invaded the south, and Ziklag attacked Ziklag and burned it with fire. बड़ी संक्षिप्त में यहाँ क्या घटना हुई मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा। आप चाहें तो लिख सकते हैं या आपको बाद में, जैसे मैंने कहा, आपको समय मिले तो इसे पढ़कर पूरे घटनाक्रम को समझ सकते हैं। दाऊद और उसके सेना के लोग कहीं बाहर गए थे और जिगलग नामक स्थान में उनका पूरा परिवार और उनका पूरा सामान था। अमालेकियों ने दाऊद के घराने, दाऊद के परिवार, इजराइलियों को अकेला पा करके उन पर आक्रमण किया। आक्रमण करके उनके पूरे वस्तुओं को लूट लिया, उनके आदमियों को लूट लिया, बंदी बनाकर ले गए और पूरे नगर को क्या कर दिया? जला दिया। The narrative is very simple. David and his men were out, and back at home only women and their goods were left behind. And then the Amalekites, who were the enemy of Israel, looks it as an opportunity and attacks and plunders the land, takes people captive and burned it with fire. Completely destruction. अब जरा कल्पना करिए अगर आपके जीवन में कभी ऐसा होता है, आप सेवकाई के लिए, काम के लिए कहीं बाहर जाते हैं, and when you come back and you see the things are completely destroyed, nothing is left for you, And having seen the situation, what do these people do? You read from verse 2.
And taken captive the women.
Yeah, they took captive all the women. They did not kill anyone, okay? But they took everyone as captives. And then read the verse number 4.
Then David and the people who were with him raised their voices and wept until they had no more strength to weep.
I want to keep before you 3 points, 3 essential truths in order for us to learn to respond. 3 बुनियादी सत्य जिसके द्वारा हम अपने जीवन में प्रतिक्रिया से प्रत्युत्तर देना सीख सकते हैं. It's a kind of expository message, but let's see how far we can go with our exposition of the same. The very first point, what do you see? Crisis is a part of life. संकट, मुसीबत जीवन का क्या है? भाग है, अंग है. Now many people, they will think, why? Okay, David was not there. His men were not there. Why did God intervene and do a miracle by sending his angels and kill all the Amalekites? Right? Some of us will think about it. कि परमेश्वर चमत्कार क्यों नहीं किया? ठीक है, दाऊद और उसके लोग बाहर थे, पुरुष सारे बाहर थे, महिलाएं थी, परमेश्वर सब कुछ देख रहा था. उसने एक बड़ा चमत्कार क्यों नहीं किया? स्वर्गदूतों को भेजकर सारे अमालेकियों को मार क्यों नहीं दिया? Right? The miracle seekers will always think in this way. But that did not happen. Unfortunately or fortunately, how you look at it depends on your perspective. No miracles happened. No intervention happened. So let us understand this truth that crisis is the part of life. No matter where you are, no matter how good you are, how close you are to God, and how spiritual you are, and how carnal you are. If you are a human being, you will have crises, struggles, challenges in your life, regardless of whatever achievements you had in the past or you may be planning to have in the future. Some of you may be thinking, why God? Why this place? Why this food? Why this, classmates? Why these teachers? Why this? Some of, especially people when they're in first year, they look at everything as a persecution. Look at everything as a सताओ, महासताओ. कितने साल का? Right? Huh? महासताओ, महाविपत्ति काल. You see in the Revelation, right? But for sometimes seminary, maybe for 3 years, for 5 years. How are you looking at the situation of your life? As a risk, as a danger, or as an opportunity? And also, last time when I was sharing from, intimacy with God, how can you get connected with God more closely? The last point I shared with you is the situation of pain. When you are in pain, when you are in a struggle, you get connected with God more closely than before. Then all of your pleasures, then all of your happiness, then all of your good moments put together will never make you so close to God as much as the moment of pain can bring you closer to God. And it's not me. This is the word of God and the experience of the saints all over the world. So whenever you see a problem, I want to tell you very frankly, whenever you see a struggle, whenever you see a question, either by Reverend Wesley or anyone, make sure you make it as a part of your life. You should accept it and say, I have to go through it and this is the plan of God for me. And then, having established that proposition, let's come to the second point, or the second thing, or the second essential truth of learning to respond, is the reacting to crisis. First, I told you that crisis is the part of life, and the second one, reacting to the same, to the crisis. अब वो संकट तो जीवन का अंग है, लेकिन दूसरा स्टेप इस वचन में हम देखते हैं वो ये है कि संकट के प्रति, समस्या के प्रति क्या किया? प्रतिक्रिया दिखाया, राइट? क्या प्रतिक्रिया दिखाया? क्या होता है वहां पे? Okay, dear brother, please read from verse number 4.
Then David and the people who were with him raised their voices and wept until they had no more strength to weep.
What people are doing here? All this bunch of people, huh? What are they doing? That is the best reaction you can ever give. I remember last year, two sisters, they had done something. I don't want to make mention of that. They came to office, and then, not very roughly, but few things we just suggested them to improve. Immediately they started crying. Their eyes were filled red, and then tears were coming down. मारा नहीं, चिल्लाया भी नहीं, गुस्सा भी नहीं किया, बस सुझाव दिया. And eyes were filled with tears, and the some drop went down. Now that sister is no more here. She already left. You know why? As I told you, reacting to a situation is sometimes natural, but is not always profitable. That's what I want to tell you. All the people you see, they are reacting. And not only simple reaction, like Jesus just wept for a while and moved ahead. But you see the reaction there. They cried till they had no strength left to weep. Have you done something like this in your life? कभी किसी ने जीवन में ऐसा किया है? इतना रोया कि आंसू ही निकलना बंद हो गया. Hello? Yeah, it happens. After cry, you can't cry, then फिर हिचकी जैसा आने लगता है. You get hiccups after a time. And that's what the same situation I think these people had. Extreme, outrageous reaction. And today we live in a world of reaction, by the way. In the Facebook 2017-19, there was a big petition put there. Why we have only like button? What if we do not want to like something? What we have to do? What we are angry with some post? What we have to do? What if we want to laugh? What we have only one? You have only blue like button. बस. बाकी कुछ तो है नहीं. But reactions is all type. Angry, happy, sad, outrageously laughing, and then sometimes something else. Simple like. So Facebook ने बड़ा मीटिंग करवाया, बुलाया सब एक्सपर्ट को, बोले हम क्या करें? अगर किसी ने एक फोटो डाला, ओके, किसी को अच्छा लगा, किसी को अच्छी लगा, तो वो क्या करेगा? वो तो लाइक नहीं कर सकता, लेकिन वो करेगा क्या? ये बताओ, वो कैसे रिएक्ट करेगा? तो फेसबुक ने एक नया सिस्टम निकाला, अभी तो आप सबको पता होगा, अभी तो निकल चुका है. It's already there. When you click the like button, you have scores of faces, right? And I don't want to make all the types of these faces, but you know what I mean. There is simple like, there is anger, there is joy, laughing outrageously, and there is sad. Then there is. So this reaction is a culture of our time. And if you go to YouTube and Facebook, there are reaction channels. You know what these people do? If any situation happens, some bombarding happened, some new movie came, some new song came, something happened somewhere, these people will sit there, play the video and give reaction. And millions people sit there and watch. What they watch? Not the incident. What they watch? Reaction. प्रतिक्रिया देख करके करोड़ों लोग वहां बैठे हैं. घटना हुआ वो नहीं देखना है. वो घटने के ऊपर जो प्रतिक्रिया उस व्यक्ति ने दिया, वो लड़का हो, लड़की हो, जो भी हो, कैसे रोई, कैसे चिल्लाई, कैसे क्या किया, वो देखना है लोगों. How much time people have? I just wonder. That also wasting time. My dear friends, when you have a crisis in your life, or when you have a situation where you want to react, I will just request you. I cannot command you, but I can request you. Come out of a habit of reaction. Because reaction will not help you. reaction will not produce any profit. Reaction will only get you out of your strength. क्योंकि वहां पर क्या लिखा है? वो तब तक हुए जब तक क्या हुआ? उनकी शक्ति खत्म हो गई। मेरे को लगता था वो रोने से पहले वो शक्ति लेकर के जाते और लड़ते तो और अच्छे से जीत के आते। They lost all their strength, they lost all their energy, they lost all of that they had by shedding tears. और Bible college में at times I have seen students shedding tears. I'm not against you cried for a while and for a moment you lost someone. Listen, I'm not against that. But crying till you lose your strength is something is overreacting. Right? There is reaction, there is underreaction, and there is something called overreaction. And हम हमेशा बोलते हैं ना कई बार अपने दोस्तों को, अरे इतना overreact क्यों कर रहा है? इतना overreact क्यों कर रही है? जैसे अपन हिंदी में बोलते हैं इतना ड्रामा क्यों कर रहे हो? Right? It's a very common word for us. But now let us go to the third step, which is the main, essence of the message that I want to communicate. What happens in the third point? Responding to crisis. We saw the first one. Crisis is the part of life. Whatever struggles you have is the part of your life. Second, we saw people reacting to the crisis. मतलब लोग समस्या के प्रति क्या करते हैं? प्रतिक्रिया दिखाते हैं. And third one, responding to the crisis. Now, how does David respond? Let's read verse number 6.
David was greatly distressed, for the people spoke of stoning him, because all the people were bitter in soul, each for his sons and daughters. But David strengthened himself in the Lord his good.
Now you see what David is doing. उसने अपने आप को परमेश्वर ने क्या किया? बलवंत किया. हालेलुया, प्रेज द लॉर्ड. मैं चाहूंगा ये आयत आप लोग अपने बाइबल से निकाल करके अपने पुस्तक, अपनी डायरी और जहां हो सके आप लिख लें. तो क्या किया दाऊद ने? अपने आप को परमेश्वर ने बलवंत किया. He strengthened himself in the Lord. This is the response to the situation. And this is what each one of you do. Whenever you have a problem, my friends, though you have no strength to respond, though you have no energy to respond, but when you go to the Lord will give you strength. Now look at this situation. There is nobody with David. You know why there is nobody with David? First, he had 2 wives. Of course, today you cannot have, but then it was possible. He had 2 wives, and 2 of them were gone, taken as a captive. So there is nobody with him, no children, no wife to say, oh David, don't worry, God is with you and he will take care. Nobody was there. Second, the people who are with him, this man, you know what they are saying? इसको पत्थरवा करके मार दो. किसको? दाऊद. Stone David and kill him. Means already he does not have own people with him, and those who are with him, his own people. What they are saying? Kill David. Because of David, we went out of Ziklag, and enemy came and captured our wives, our daughters, our children, and our things. So who is the culprit? कौन है जिम्मेदार? David. These all are result of reaction. Those people, they not only cried, they lost their strength, but they now reacting towards who? David, and indirectly towards God. Because who appointed David? God. And these people, first they reacted foolishly, lost their strength, and now the same people reacting towards David. And some of them may have already taken their stone in their hand, I think. मारने वाले होंगे दाऊद. All these are reaction, not response. But thank God for the man called David, who is responding. What he is doing? He went in the presence of God, and he found strength in the Lord. उसने बल कहाँ से पाया? Hello. After reacting and losing his strength, now he has no strength. अब ताकत नहीं है. लेकिन ताकत कहाँ से मिल रहा है उसे? Permission. Amen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. In the crisis of your life, my dear friends, if you need the strength to respond, go to God. pray, read the word. And even if there is no one to encourage you, I'm telling you, sometimes seniors can be very rough. Sometimes seniors can be, no, they cannot be rough. Sometimes some teachers might be rough. Sometimes your parents, your relatives might be rough. And they may misbehave with you. But you know what? Be a man like David. Regardless of anyone, he knew his God is with him. And he remembered what God has done in the past. The same God will help me in the future. His promises are with me. His word is with me. His presence is with me. And I will recover. And now responding requires some step. Let me make things a little bit more clear so that you will learn to respond. There was a story I heard long back. You know, most of you, Sundar Pichai. He is the CEO of Google, which is under Alphabet. One day he was sitting in a restaurant and there were scores of people eating, drinking, doing all their things. And then he was sitting and then he saw all of a sudden a cockroach. क्या बोलते हैं आपको cockroach? क्या बोलते हैं? हाँ? हाँ. All of a sudden you saw this man, Sundar saw a cockroach. And that cockroach happened to climb a woman and went here on her shoulder. The moment that woman saw that cockroach, you know, quite obvious reaction, she shouted. इतना जोर से चिल्लाया कि जितने लोग वहां खा रहे थे, वो सब के सब खाना छोड़ के उस औरत को ले लिया. और फिर उसने ना केवल चिल्लाया लेकिन झड़का, राइट? तो वो कॉकरोच उठ करके उनके टेबल से, उनके जगह से दूसरे आदमी के ऊपर चला गया. वो आदमी खड़ा हुआ, उसने वहां से मारा और खाना वाला फेंक दिया थी यहाँ. वो जब किसी और के मुंह में छपड़ा गया. एंड देन वो ऐसा किया. Almost 4 tables there got completely messed up. And then there was one waiter. He was coming with his dish and he saw that people are upset with the cockroach. He did nothing, you know, not even no reaction. No? Sometimes we give many reactions. Simply, he went and hold it like this and went. Sundar Pichai sitting there made a mistake. This is what response is differentiated from reaction. बाकी पहले सब के सब वहां क्या कर रहे थे? React कर रहे थे with their capacity and their emotion. Because reaction is always controlled by emotion. आपकी प्रतिक्रिया अधिकतर समय आपके भावनाओं के द्वारा हाईजेक हो जाती है, कैप्चर होती है. Some of you get furiously angry at times. You know what is that? That is your emotion controlling your reaction. Sometimes आपस में किसी से बात कर रहे, थोड़ा किसी ने ऊंची आवाज में बात किया, we get angry and we want to fight. It has been seen all the time. थोड़ा सा मॉनिटर ने कभी कुछ बोल दिया, इतना गुस्सा आ जाता है, एकदम उसको चिल्लाने लगता है. टीचर ने कुछ बोल दिया, नहीं प्रीचिंग में ऐसा नहीं, ये चेंज करो, तो टीचर भी बोल दिया, नो मैं चेंज नहीं करूंगा, जो करना है. हाँ, भाई इसी बाइबल कॉलेज की बात कर रहा हूँ. You know, we are born with a tendency to react. And reaction is always overruled by emotion. But response requires intelligence. Response requires wisdom. Response requires knowledge. Reaction does not. In order to respond, what do you have to do? First of all, you have to pause. That's what David does. Not only pause, you have to process what has happened. What you process, then you have to pray. You have prayed, you have to plan. After plan, you have to proceed. Let me repeat, somebody missed because they thought I will just end. The response begins with pause. You pause for a while. After you have paused, what you do? You process. You ponder. You think what has happened. And then after process, you sit and pray. You give it to Lord. You give it in the hand of God. After you make a plan. You have prayed, you plan, and what do you do after plan? Chalo. Proceed, right? आप थोड़ा थमे, रुके, आपने सोचा कि क्या हुआ, और जो कुछ हुआ सब कुछ परमेश्वर के हाथ में सौंपा, प्रार्थना किया, योजना बनाया, और क्या किया? आगे बढ़े. My dear friends, David found his strength from the Lord. And what he did? He called the priest. आप पढ़िए वहां पर आगे आपको मालूम चलेगा. He called the priest, then he called the ephod, through which this Israel used to communicate with God. It was, a communicator. Today's word you can call it was a gadget of that time. And then he plans. He takes people with him, around 600 men, and the 600 people, they well planned, well armed. They go for fight, and they do a very good fight, war. And they not only won, but they recovered everything they have lost. This is not the result of reaction. This was the result of response. I know it's not easy. जन्म से हमको सिखाया गया है कि हम प्रतिक्रिया दिखाना. हमने भी अपने आसपास सबको देखा है क्या करते हैं? प्रतिक्रिया दिखाना. So we are, naturally wired to react. It is very hard sometimes to learn to respond. But we see this in the Bible that we have to practice. We have to learn. What is the result thereafter? As I told you in the beginning, that crisis, as it gives you danger and poses in front of you a risk, it also gives you opportunity to prove who you are and what you can achieve with God. What is the result? When you read that complete chapter till verse number 31, what you see is that David not only recovered everything, it says in verse number 18 and 19, but verse 20 says, his leadership got recognized. उसका नेतृत्वपन की सेवकाई को लोगों ने क्या किया? पहचाना. उन्होंने क्या बोला? कि ये दाऊद का है. पढ़िए 20, verse number 20. वो आखिरी आयत है, वो पढ़ करके हम समाप्त करेंगे.
David also captured all the flocks and herds.
Yeah.
And the people draw the livestock before him.
Yeah.
And say, this is David's spoil.
This is David's spoil. They recognized who David is. Do you want to be recognized by people? For that matter, every one of you, I know. One or the other way, everyone needs recognition. Everybody needs a platform. Everybody needs a position. Learn to respond. You don't need to tell people. I have seen people coming and bragging about themselves if they have some talent, some skill. You don't have to. If you have one and you know how to respond to the situation of your life, you will outshine everybody else. You don't need to say, people will see. And that's what you see. David once in a place where people were about to stone him and kill him. And stoning is not just to injure. Stoning means chapter close. He was in a place कि उसको मारने ही वाले थे. अब क्या बोल रहे हैं? ये दाऊद का है. जिन्हें दाऊद ने हमें क्या दिया है? पीछे. My dear ones, sometimes responding requires the presence of God. You need to go in the presence of God. You need to pray. You look at the pain and problems of your life. Go to God and find the strength. And when you find the strength, you will overcome the situation. And you will glorify God and people will recognize you. And as an illustration, I told you, most of the people in the world today also only react. They do not respond. Somebody said that ALBC is full. There is no room in ALBC now. But very shortly you will see many students will leave the college. Boys and girls, many people will go. We don't expect this to happen, but it will happen. You know why? Because many cannot handle the crisis. Many cannot respond the way God wants. Because I believe if you are here, it's because of God. Because this college begins with a vision. And every channel that is connected to it, or every human connected to it, I believe it's God. It's through God. If God has brought you, take it as a challenge and complete it. You are not only going to experience the danger and risk, but you will also have opportunity to prove yourself who you are and what you can achieve. And then you will not only shine in the ministry for the glory of God, but your family, your relatives, your own people will recognize who you are and what you can do. And everybody else, the people they want, what people want? They want success, people want achievements, people want sometimes money, people sometimes want the things of this world, sometimes people want, many things. Those things will follow. Because what does Bible say? Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything else will follow thereafter. So, I am not angry, I am not against those of you who reacted after coming here, but I want you all to become more mature. Right? No matter what happens, let there be a serpent or let there be a buffalo. Respond. Or let there be a tilchita. Let there be a cockroach. Respond. Help people. Help yourself. Solve the problem. Don't create another problem. Right? Don't create another problem. Solve the problem. And that will prove why God has called you. David is an amazing example, my friends, for many things in our life. And I pray that God will give us a strength, that we will learn to respond, not just react. Reaction will be there, but reaction can be minimized. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying become emotionless. I'm not saying that, become emotionless. Be a man and woman of emotion, but controlled by God. Have emotions, but don't allow emotions to control your actions. But the wisdom that God has given you, intelligence that you have, and the knowledge you contain must become a guiding force or a driving force for your action, which we call response. Should we all close our eyes for a while? Father God, we submit ourselves in your hand. You are a good God. And without your help, we can do nothing. And we thank you, Lord, for the life like David. Help us to learn to respond to the situations and crises of our life. जिंदगी के हर एक पल में पिता परमेश्वर ऐसा वर दे कि हम केवल प्रतिक्रिया नहीं परंतु प्रत्युत्तर देने पाए। हर एक संकट के मध्य तुझसे बल पाते हुए उन परिस्थितियों पर जय प्राप्त करें। यीशु के नाम से आमेन। May the good Lord bless all of you.